Hey everybody, this is Alex Merced from alexmercedcoder.com, and in this video what I want to do is show you how to create a PHP API with a React front end with very simply, okay, so you know having to worry about playing with like .HTAccess files for Apache, no having to worry about playing with Composer or Node, just a straight basic um, thing, okay? So let's do that. Okay, so let's create a folder. Okay, wait, where should I do this? I'll just create a new folder. Well, that's fine, we'll put it there. And we'll call this PHP React. And essentially, at the root of your folder, we're going to need a new file, which is going to be index.html. Okay, and then we're going to have another new file. You do need a composer.json file just because of how Heroku works. So it needs a composer.json file to know to run like a PHP setup. And in there, you're just going to basically literally put an empty object, and you should be fine. That's it. That's all you need there. And then we're going to create a folder called API. That's where we'll put our API. And in there, we'll put a index.php. Cool. And first of all, I guess we'll create the API. And so we go to the index.php, set up your basic PHP boilerplate, which really, that's just that. Okay. And essentially what's going to happen here is that we'll just use API as our endpoint, and it'll refer to this index.php file. Now there's a couple different ways we can do this. So actually what I'm going to do is I want to open this folder in the terminal. Cool. And what I want to do is I want to start a PHP server here. So if you have PHP installed on your computer, I always recommend updating to the newest version. Right now I have PHP 7.4. Okay, you just type in PHP -s, which means create a server, local server, I'm going to say 4000. Okay, and that should spin a unknown PHP network address, get address info, temporary failure, name of unknown, online 10, failed to listen on local server. Oh, local server, that's why it's supposed to be local host. Local host 4000. There we go. There we go. See there, a PHP development server is started. Okay, so that we can test out that API. And basically what we can do is, there's a couple different ways we can do this. But first let me just show you these objects. So we're going to do is a var dump. That's how we can dump complex variables onto the screen. And we'll just do a var dump. And we're going to do a var dump of this server variable. This server variable should have like what your type of request is, a lot of data about the thing. So let's hit save and just take a look at it. So localhost, I said localhost 4000, and technically it's in the API folder, so API. Okay, API was not found on the server. Go back to that. Requested resource, am I serving? Oh, I'm serving it from the wrong folder, that's why. I don't need to be in the deploy folder, which is what I did. I need to be in the PHP React folder. I need that as my root. So cd PHP React, and here I start the server. That should address that issue. So let's go back to /API. No. Okay. And there's also a request object. That gives you all the details of the request. We'll come back to the server object. Okay, now it says null, but if I add a query to the URL, I say, hey, cheese equals Gouda, I should get a different response. No. Why not? Let's take a look. Okay. Yes. I typed this in wrong. It's supposed to be underscore request. So underscore request would show you like URL queries, stuff like that. So this cheese Gouda should show up here. And see, there it is, cheese Gouda. But then if I want this here in server, so again it has to have the underscore. Server, save. And this gives you all the information about the request. So really what you're looking for is this one, request method. Okay. So that would be sort of a deal there. So what you would want to do is create something like if server request underscore method. So let me just make sure that was how that's spelled. Request method, yep. Equals, and how do they spell it in there? Get, so all uppercase. Get, then we'll do this. And then you would do the same thing if it was like a put or a post. You know, you create all these little if statements for what type of request it is, and then you know what other variables you'd want. Okay, so we're just going to do a get request because I'm just showing you the very basics of how this works. Okay, and we're just going to, and I'm going to create a object that we're going to send over here. So let's just say data or my data equals, it is an array, and basically there's a key called cheese, and the value is Gouda. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're just going to basically send that over. So echo JSON encode my data. So JSON encode encodes the data as JSON. Echo will make sure that it gets out there. So now if I do this, save. Okay, what is it complaining about? No, should be fine. So let's hit refresh. Oop, I broke it. Syntax error, unexpected if. Okay, so it was. Oh yeah, semicolons. I always forget with PHP. I gotta put semicolons everywhere. JavaScript, you have spoiled me. Okay. Still not exactly what I was hoping. So let's see here. Get echo JSON encode my data, which is just this. So let's see here. Let's do a var dump of my data, because basically what I want to do is I want to diagnose whether it's just that the if statement is not running or there's some other problem. So I'm going to just see if it prints my data out. Okay. Save. Okay, so it is able to dump the array. So that so far tells me that, again, the file is running. It's just the if statement's not resolving as true. So I'm going to put that there, see if maybe, and then also check to see if maybe it's just the way I formatted the return of my data. So see if that var dump still works in there, because that means the if statement is working. No, so it's the if statement that's the issue. Okie dokie. So what we're going to do is let's do a var dump. Oh, here's why. Underscore server. Oi, keep forgetting the underscore. that there. So if underscore server request method. Now what is it? Complaining about unexpected if that afraid of semicolon somewhere again. My data echo JSON. Now we have our semicolons. Let's run it. Yep, there it goes. And there we go. See, it returns us our JSON data, and that's why my little JSON thing that makes JSON prettier shows up. Cool. So we created an API. So now I can actually make a call to this endpoint and get back cheese. Simple as that. Okay. And again, you can just make several if statements depending on whether it's a get, push, put, to do whatever you want. Okay. And extend this to connected databases, whatever. But again, so far I've not had to pull in any libraries. I've not had to do anything fancy. So now we need to create our front end. So we'll get out of the API folder. Okay, we're done with PHP for now. I'm not going to build a full CRUD application in this video. And what we need to do here is first we're going to do our HTML boilerplate. HTML5 save, and I'm going to pull in React through CDN. Again, just the idea is just to have a simplest setup as possible. So we'll go get the CDN links for React. Okay. Control C. Plop those in here. And now we just need Babel. Save. Okay, so let's go over here and find the Babel CDN. Here we go. So copy the script tag. Put that there. Okay, so then we have React. Now I just need to create my app.js, a new file. App.js, this is in my root folder. Cool. Now I just need to create a script tag for that. Script. There goes script app.js. And we need to put type text Babel so that way it knows to translate it. And all the JSX and stuff. And then I'm going to add a defer keyword. And then I'm just going to add the obligatory div that has the ID of root. Okay. Well, there we go. And our index.html file is good to go. So now let's go to app.js. And first thing I need to do is create a app component. So I'm going to use functional components because I prefer functional components when I'm working with React. So const app equals props. Okay, and return. Let's just start off with an h1 hello world. Okay. h1 hello world, and then we'll do our React DOM dot render, and we want to say that our app component is going to render where that div is. Document dot query selector. Actually, we don't even need to do that. Get element by ID, and the ID is root. So we'll inject that there. And I should have hello world now. So let's go back here. Go back to our main page, 4000. And there you go. Hello world. Okay, good. So we have our React application working, and it's all working in the same, as part of the same project. Very nice. Okay, and now let's see here. What do I want to do next? I want to call that API. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a. We're going to have to create a piece of state. So this is a functional component. So instead of using the constructor, I use this useState hook. So basically I just do this. Const state set state equals react.useState. It's a function to let us use state in functions. And then I just put my state. So we'll just put, say, cheese. We'll just say data, which will start as an empty string. Cool. Okay. Save. Okay. Now we want to fill that data with our API data, so we need a lifecycle function. So I need to use the useEffect hook, because that's how you do lifecycle in a functional component versus using like on component mount in a class component. So react.useEffect, and again useEffect gets passed a callback. That's just basically what I want to do. And basically what I want to do is I want to fetch, but since it's all part of the same project, I don't need to put a fancy URL. I could just do /API. And so just do a get, because I'm just doing a basic get. So that's pretty straightforward. And now I just do my .thens. So .then, we're going to get a response. And we're going to want to return the response.json. And then .then, we will get our JSON back. I'll put that in parentheses just to make it easier for you guys to read. And from there, right now we're just going to console.log JSON just to make sure that we got the information. Okay. There is my fetch. And then I got to put an empty array here so that way that doesn't repeat forever. Okay, so if you're not familiar with useEffect, the way it works is that this function, this callback here, gets run when the component gets first created, and then we'll rerun when any of the variables inside this array change. But if I don't put an array, it'll literally run anytime the function, this component re-renders. So you can accidentally create an infinite loop very easily that way. So save, let me just make sure I did that right. Yes, that looks good to me. So let's rerun this. Okay, let me bring up my inspector. Let's see if we got our data. JSON native code. That isn't what I like to see, but that would maybe because I didn't actually invoke the function right over here. So I just basically return the function JSON. That's why it says that. Okay, so let's try that again. So you said return the function of JSON, because that's what I did. I didn't invoke it, so I just sent over the actual function instead of sending over the result of the function. So let's refresh that. Let it do its thing. And there we go. Okay, good. We successfully called the API. See, we got our cheese Gouda. Okay. So now we just need to do this. Okay, so we know that property is called cheese, so I'm actually going to change this to cheese now. Cheese empty string. Save. And then I'm going to change this to set state. Because again, it's function, so I don't have to use this. There's no this in function world. So set state is going to be, and then I'm just going to pass in JSON as the new state. So this object with cheese inside of it will be the new state, but with Gouda inside of it now, that'll re-render the component, and I want to make sure we make use of that. So then I'll go over here and interpolate state.cheese into our template. the API call. And something didn't happen. So let's see here. setState.json. ¿Por qué? Let's do this. Let's console log setState. I might have accidentally done that backwards. Console.log setState. Make sure that's my function. Yep, no, that's my function. Okay. So here's what I'm going to do. Create a new object and spread JSON into it. See if that makes a difference. Save. And just to be, yeah, we'll see. We'll leave it at that. Save. Okay. Let me time to break out the dev tools components here. App component. Do I have state? Yeah, no. Oh, it's uppercase cheese. Because when I did the API, it's uppercase cheese. So that's why. So it's there. Oh, case sensitivity. So let me just change this to uppercase cheese. We'll start it out as cheddar, so you can see it change. Cheddar. And then this has got to become uppercase cheese over here. Okay, and again, if you didn't see it before, how did I do that? I have the React Dev Tools installed, so it's a Chrome extension. And so I go here and I can see there's an app, my app component. And then here I can see its state. So I see this has a state of cheese. And I see that it's uppercase, not lowercase as I had it in my code here. So now if I save that and I refresh, see it starts out as cheddar, and then it becomes Gouda because the API. So we successfully just called from our PHP API. So literally in a little bit over 20 minutes, we created a PHP API, a React application, and that React application calls from that PHP API. And we didn't have to use any node. We didn't have to use any composer. We didn't have to load any dependencies. This was all pure, you know, just working with our editor. So cool. So now I want to deploy this. So I want to do this sort of a little bit old-fashioned. I'm not going to use the Heroku command line, so that way in case you don't know how to use the Heroku command line, all it requires is some basic knowledge of Git. But first, actually, let me go create that Git. So I'm going to kill this server, Control-C. That did the job. Okay, so now we're going to create a Git repository, Git init, in this folder. Then I'm going to git add all my files, git commit -m. It's done. Cool. So that's there. And now I'm going to create a new project on Heroku. Create new app. I'm just going to call this PHP React. Oh, it's got to be all lowercase. PHP React. And that name is available. I'll delete it afterwards anyways. Okie dokie. And next, all I need is to go to settings. Because what I need to do is add this URL. I need to add this as a remote to my Git repository so I can upload it to Heroku. So I'm going to highlight that. I'll copy it. And then I'm going to go to my Git repository here. I'm going to type in git remote add. We're going to call this Heroku. It's the name of this repository. We don't have to call it Heroku, but why would you not want to call it Heroku and be descriptive? Control-Shift-V. So we're just saying, hey, from now on, Heroku, whenever I push to Heroku, it's pushing to that URL. So I hit enter. Okay, now we do a git push Heroku master. Push to Heroku, and it should deploy. Cool. And that's and then where's the here PHP React. Here's the URL to it. Let's go check it out. I just want to copy this Let's just follow the link. Follow link. Yep. Let's open it. And it makes the API call. And the API call was not successful. Let's find out why. Let's do Control-Shift-I. Control-Shift-I. Console. Mixed content. The page here was loaded over HTTPS but requested an insecure resource. Okay. So it doesn't like the URL I use. Wants it to be I have to coerce it to HTTPS. So the way you do that is I just have to type in the URL here. So instead of the relative URL, we'll use the absolute URL. Because technically I should be able to go to /API and get the data. Yep, see? So it's just a matter of it saying HTTPS. So actually here, I'll actually just copy the URL from there. Okay. So I'm going to replace it /API. And I'm going to add HTTPS to it. So that way it does that. And that should fix the problem. We'll find out. So let's do git add git commit -m HTTPS. Not a fan of that change, but we'll live with it. Git push origin master. It could also probably be fixed with some headers and stuff, but oh yeah, there's no origin. Git push Heroku master. Git push Heroku master. Okay, that'll push. That's doing its thing. Setting up the server. Okay, good. Let's go back over here. Still doesn't like it. Let's do it this way then. I'm going to not load this page over HTTPS. I'll just do HTTP. And that should access the fetch PHP from origin. Boo, cores. Okay, so we have to figure out the cores thing. One moment. PHP cores headers. So we're going to just have to put some stuff in our PHP. This is always the fun part when you deploy something in an API, always having to deal with this. So let's see here what it says. Someone just give me a good box solution. Here we go. Access allow credentials true. Server HTTP origin. Okay. From any origin. This works for me. So we'll copy this. And give this a shot. So we'll put this back in our PHP. So I'm going to go back to the API, index.php. We'll just copy this right here at the top. Okay, so essentially what this is doing, this is the HTTP origin, which is basically, you know, where the request is coming from. So we're just basically saying wherever the request is coming from is allowed. And then it's just other headers. I'm not sure if I really need those, but save. And I think give that a shot. Git add git commit -m cores. You are the bane of my existence. Everything always works so much fun, and then you always have to do all this core stuff after you deploy. Git push origin master. This is always the fun part. I keep trying to push the git push Heroku master, but I wanted to show you kind of like the whole the whole journey. Like I do have the headers in another project. I just don't want to have to cheat and go refer to that. So I may in a second, so we not to waste too much more of your time. And that works. Those headers did the job. Okay, so now our API works. Okay, cool. That's ta-da! You did it. We created a mini full stack app in 30 minutes with PHP and React. Awesome. Cool. Have a great day and enjoy. Thank you very much. Have a great day. Ciao, ciao.